these characters from...
He'll fix everything.
Well, it's interesting that John Corzine and Louis Freeh are from practically the same neighborhood. So, you know, and they're from the same fraternity and so forth. So you kind of wonder, is this really going to be investigated or not? You know, and then, of course, you have the Penn State issue.
I'm sure he'll investigate.
So I've been looking at a lot of connections related to Freeh and some of these new controversial stories that have been coming up lately.
And now there's Syracuse and the ESPN cover-up of that. I mean, this is just how they roll. It's a crew of, well, sickos. But expanding on that, what's your view on the whole Fast and Furious? I mean, right there's an example of them shipping guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment, but also let the drug cartels knock out their competition and ship that lovely white stuff up into ATF, FBI, DEA, Border Patrol, and several other agencies that were involved. I mean, these are confirmed criminals.
Right. And I was, in fact, this Thanksgiving weekend, I spent time with family in southern Arizona, and the Border Patrol's everywhere. And I'm thinking, you know, they were, you know, asking us, you know, looking at me like, are you an American citizen? And you know, sniffing how the drug dogs are sniffing, and I'm a criminal, you know.
Oh, yeah, they're not. But the illegal aliens, I've talked to them, that they're allowed to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm probably about 80 miles from the Mexican border in around Tombstone, Arizona, and I'm thinking, you know, this is happening well within the confines of American territory. Why are they harassing us? And, you know, and then I think about the guns, you know, being shipped down into Sonora and these other narco states within Mexico, and you know, it's just, they turn a blind eye to it, like so many things. I mean, isn't this poppy harvest season in Afghanistan right now in November? So, you know, I'm sure we'll, you know, see a rise in heroin, you know, on the streets.
Oh, well, it was like less than 10% of world supply coming out of Afghanistan. But after the liberation, 93%. And now they just admit the troops grow it and they ship it to America. But if you use it, you go to jail.
That's absolutely right. And it's that way with so many of these things that they make illegal. And it's, you know, prohibition didn't work, you know, 70, 80 years ago.
Well, it works to jack up prices.
Well, that's true.
And to corrupt the police so they're in the hip pocket. It works quite well. They've destroyed America quite nicely. And now if you don't like it, you'll just go to a military brig.
Well, that's right. So
you don't like MF Global taking your bank account? Hey, you paid for the Army, here it is. And you're not patriotic if you don't like when they... Have you heard police are now in the news, I'm not joking, saying that it's resisting if when they're kicking you, you ball up. So when the military says, oh, we're going to knock your teeth out, you got to go, right here, thank you. How's that sound?
That just sounds so American.
Well, it is American. And if you don't like it, torture, secret arrest, cowardice, public absolutely under surveillance. 1984 was an instruction manual for freedom. You didn't know George Washington wrote 1984? As an idea of freedom?
Right.
Winston was a terrorist, and so are you, buddy. Would you like to apologize for investigating Oklahoma City and interviewing, I know in the new film coming out, Terrence Yakee's wife and, you know, the government killing the cop. But see, that's patriotic now to kill cops that are exposing the government.
And that clearly happened. I mean, I don't understand how the chief of police of Oklahoma City could turn a blind eye to one of his own being brutally murdered as Terrence Yakee was in 1996. That it's a grievous insult to his memory that it's been covered up in such a way. So, you know, that is pointed out in the new film that's coming out, A Noble Lie. And, you know, we're not going to let this die. We're going to keep going at this. We're going to keep exposing this as more information comes our way at Red Dirt Report, with Free Mind Films, with independent journalists who are, you know, I guess have enough courage to report this, because the local mainstream media here in Oklahoma will not touch this topic unless it's, you know, some hand-holding event down at the bombing memorial.
Well, look, they wouldn't be putting people that investigate Oklahoma City in a list of terrorists if it didn't scare them. The terrorists know we're on to them. And some people in the government are not part of the terrorism. That's why they send us these documents. That's why this stuff gets leaked. I wonder if we should try to get in contact with our loving federal owners and ask them, you know, what else is terrorism? I guess having a IQ above room temperature may be terrorism.
Well, I tried contacting the Bureau of Justice Assistance, one of these acronyms that means nothing, and I didn't get a response. But I was curious, how do you end up on one of these among this list? Now, I suspect that this is something they probably dredged up from the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, no. It's 100% ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center written. Yes.
Yeah, so... but, I'd like to find out what their criteria are to end up on a list like this. Red Dirt Report, is that going to be on there? I saw antiwar.com, as you mentioned earlier, and I was like, are they kidding me? I don't understand it. It's
no. They want to make it ridiculous. And see, it's a psychological warfare precept. When they show cops the Constitution and anti-terror training and say, this is evil, George Washington is bad. For folks that haven't seen Road to Tyranny, we have footage of FEMA training in Kansas City showing it. I mean, you watch it, you think it's an absurdist joke, it's real. And they tell the cops, the Constitution is bad, George Washington is bad, Thomas Jefferson is bad. And the cops are like, yes. By it being so crazy, when the cops decide to go ahead and agree it's bad, they have to mentally commit to it and then get excited about it. Because it's so crazy in the peer pressure, because you see the cops going, George Washington's bad, and under peer pressure they go, he's bad. And they're like, yeah, he's bad. They're like, you're good now, you're bad. George Washington, he's bad. And I mean, this is a sicko cult. You've got to realize how sick these people are. These are terrorists.
And they're all over the place now. I mean, in the airports, you feel like you're in, East Germany or something in 1980.
East Germany didn't grab children's genitals. They didn't put you in microwave ovens. It's beyond it. But see, it's America, so see, it couldn't be true here.
And that's the thing. I saw this article talking about how different versions of Newsweek or Time Magazine have more explicit covers overseas, and then they'll have some milquetoast cover here in the U.S. version of the magazine. It's just to kind of, keep them entertained, keep them, obsessed with sporting events, and feed them the aspartame and the fluoride and so forth, and they'll be happy. And, it's interesting how you really have to go to a lot of, if you're reading mainstream news articles, a lot of them are from Europe. And, I mean, the state of journalism in the United States is just so abysmal. And I'm a, journalism grad. I went to newspapers thinking, we were going to, really expose a lot of stuff. And my editors would never let me really do the big stories. And that's why I went out on my own and started.
No, they're like, why don't you do a story on what people's favorite color is, or how great it is to have troops on the street corner for the homeland?
Well, when I was a reporter starting out in Waxahachie, Texas years ago, I tried to expose some stuff related to these black helicopters that were flying real low in this neighborhood and dropping some sort of powder on people. And my editor wouldn't let me do a story on that. He said,
yeah, that happened here. They even got footage of it. It ended up being in the and they're like, there's a secret program. We're dropping powder, but don't worry about it. We're dropping powder on you. And literally, you can have footage of the helicopter, and they're like, it doesn't exist.
That's exactly what it was. I had eyewitness reports from this, and my editor would not let me do the story.
Well, for decades, they said there is no world government, there's no international bankers. We're like, they will implode the world system through derivatives. Here's the Trilateral Commission document. Now it's actually happening, and they're like, yes, global government by the bankers, but still you're a terrorist if you think bankers are taking over. I mean, literally, it's now reached absurdist proportions.
No, and I was talking to somebody, a fellow investigator, and I don't know about you, Alex, but there's a real sense of urgency right now that I'm just on a deeper level, that there's so many of these important stories and this stuff needs to get out quickly. And I mean, personally, I am just cranking out stories left and right.
Oh, yeah, no. They're getting rid of the Bill of Rights, Constitution. Under a new border deal, they're creating North American Union, legalizing total Monsanto takeover. Europe just did it, overthrowing their courts. They said administratively the EU is doing this. Tyranny is here. The bankers are making their move. And, I mean, hell, they're on the news saying Americans will be arrested, permanently detained. We will kill you if we wish. Drones are in command. We're saving you from al-Qaeda. And we're like, but al-Qaeda was just given control of Libya, and now they've sent them to Syria. Shut up, terrorist. And we're fighting al-Qaeda together. We'll take your private bank account. Don't complain. MF Global loves you. Corzine advises the White House. Freedom continues.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the drones. I've been writing about drones as well, and I've actually witnessed one of these here one night in Oklahoma City about 2 or 3 years ago. I was with a friend on my porch and saw a drone hovering over our neighborhood and then zip away. Now, there's an Air Force base not far from here, and it could have come from there. But these drones, I mean, they're already out there. They're not coming. They're already out there.
And remember, you pay to have your military that's been taken over by foreign banks do this to you. And now they've announced they're going to weaponize the drones. Now they're going to deal with those evil Americans.
Well, that's right. And in fact, there was a Mexican film that came out a couple of years ago called Sleep Dealer, where the TV show that the characters are watching is called Drones. I don't know if you saw this film, but basically these it's like a reality show where drone pilots are going around bombing like villagers in rural Mexico because they get too close to a water supply, like a dam or a reservoir. And it smacked to something kind of realistic the way it was portrayed in the film. And it was interesting that it was a Mexican film, not an American film.
Oh, no, exactly. They are actually beta testing. I watched the new Transformers movie, Dark Side of the Moon, and they're horrible on purpose. I like that movie, Battle of Los Angeles. It's like the little kid goes, I want to grow up to be a Marine. It's a giant advertisement. And now they're moving on to like the space aliens, because you can't kill the Indians, you can't kill the whatever, that's not politically correct, it's always space aliens. But in this, it's all just government surveillance, brainwashing. And you got to remember, large swaths of the public are fed on this now. All right, man, it's been great having you. Any closing points you wanted to make?
Just that, we're going to continue covering a lot of these issues related to the Oklahoma City bombing and the cover-up at reddirtreport.com. And we certainly appreciate you having us on here today, Alex.
So you're going to continue to engage in thought, crime, and terrorism?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Oh, it's terrible. Ladies, I appreciate you joining us, but I've got to say to people, I apologize for having that terrorist on. Whoa, I'm calling and reporting him immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, whoa. I mean, I was so glad when a firefighter sent me that footage of good FEMA people teaching police and firefighters that the Founding Fathers are terrorists. It was scary hearing about those Founding Father people. I mean, in America, these are bad people. It's totally normal to have FEMA teaching police that. And then I saw the squad car footage I talked about in Road to Tyranny where they freaked out over a pocket constitution. Of course they should. But this is even worse. These people are investigating all the eyewitnesses and the footage and the bombs and making films and interviewing the victims. Those victims are terrorists. I mean, these are bad people. Thank God for Corzine taking billions of dollars out of people's private accounts. Thank God the government's taken the military's death benefits and stolen it. I mean, that's freedom. Okay, I'm going to end the transmission tonight. Thank God they're trying to get rid of Posse Comitatus and get rid of Magna Carta and secretly arrest and throw the key away and kill you if they want. America is about the government killing you if they want and having no rights. And I want to say, I don't want to be on the terror list. I think I'm going to join the system. I think I'm going to hunt people down like this guy. In fact, he's still there laughing. Put the camera on him. He thinks it's funny. These are sick people. I apologize for InfoWars Nightly News. Remember, our dear leaders are fighting to make America as good or even better than North Korea. They want to bring you the freedom of total slavery. The crew here is a bunch of sickos as well. I just had an epiphany, a awakening, a realization that that George Washington was bad. I agree with FEMA. And by the way, the good thing is it's not just Obama who cares about us. It was Bush and Clinton and on before them, George Bush Sr. And Newt Gingrich calls for world government. I mean, they have all known the truth. They've all wanted to get rid of the family and freedom and private property. And they've overthrown George Washington. I just think it's great. In fact, that's it for me. I'm done. I think I'm gonna go try to join the ATF so we can knock down some old people's doors. They like to find old people that haven't registered a gun right or something in Illinois, and they like their pistol weapon. I'm a good guy. All right, I'm done. I'm gonna go report this terrorist. See you later, folks. All right, keep laughing, pal. Keep laughing. Homeland's gonna get you. They're on the winning team.